Hello everybody, welcome back to Screen Stars. I'm here today to bring you my review for the 2020 horror film The Toll, a film that is written and directed by Michael Nader, and it stars Jordan Hayes and Max Toplin. Now this focuses on a woman called Cami who upon leaving an airport gets like an Uber cab or a cab the driver is called Spencer. She gives him the address, which is her father's, which is really out in the country somewhere. They head off in the middle of the night to this address. He takes the route that he thinks the sat-nav is taking him, and it takes them down a very darkened road, and then guess what? The car breaks down. And then from that point on, a whole manner of supernatural, strange and weird events start taking place, and they are seemingly encouraged by something or someone called the Toll Man that keeps giving them messages to pay the toll. And it is for these two characters to try and make it through the night without having to face the wrath of this supernatural being, the Toll Man. Right, what are my thoughts on this film, The Toll? Well, I'll be honest, maybe it's the volumes of films that I watch and review for this channel. I generally don't start off with great expectations with many films, to be perfectly honest. And this was one of them. I just thought, I'll give it a go. I like the idea of this one. And I have to be honest, I was pleasantly surprised by this film. In fact, more than pleasantly surprised with this film. I thought it was a very, very simple idea. Essentially, for most of this film, you've just got these two actors, Jordan Hayes and Max Toplin. The film works in a very clever way because it exploits distrust and paranoia in these two characters. They are given very little information about this entity, but what they do learn is that it kind of feeds on death and fear, and that essentially for them to get through the night, one of them is potentially going to have to die, and the toll that they have to pay is a death of one of them. So how do you get through that the night in one piece when you've got this supernatural entity on your back that keeps messing with their head psychologically, and keeps trying to turn them against each other? It's very clever done. It reminded me of The Thing in some ways, that paranoia and distrust that those characters had in that film. It's worked to good effect here in this as well. It doesn't give you a barrage of cheap scares. It gives you some earned scares that really do genuinely scare you and creep you out. There's some really freaky imagery going on, and some psychological paranoia. And it kind of doesn't let up. For me, I think the only time this film started to lose its focus for me, it started, if you like, it started exploring their past psychologically, and then just kept exploring. Certainly this Cami character more than Spencer. It just kept poking and prodding, and we learned all this stuff about a past of this, and it just kept going and going and going, and it started getting a bit tiresome, I suppose. I started thinking to myself, well, is this all this entity's got? You know what I mean? Just showing them visions, or of the stuff that's happened in their past, that sort of stuff. It started to lose its focus a little bit for me, but it didn't last long, thankfully, and it picked really back up again. And it kind of freaked me out a little bit. I mean, what's good about this film as well is, let's be honest, how many of us would our darkest fear be to break down on a country road at 3 o'clock in the morning, pitch dark, nobody there to help you, no lights anywhere? I mean, that in itself would terrify most people. And then you had this distrust, paranoia, and this supernatural entity that it really ramped up the fear and the paranoia, I think, in this film, and in a really, really tangible way, because it tapped into real life fears that most of us would experience in that scenario. So it was good, and it didn't overly Hollywoodize it, you know what I mean? It didn't overshow things. It left a lot of mystery and a lot to the imagination as well, as to what this tall man was. And it's kind of, I've never come across this kind of thing before in a horror film. So again, you've got to applaud its originality. It's not often you can say that again either in the horror movie genre these days in regards to originality. It's a real rarity to get a horror film that is original. And it has some very, very strong central performances by the two leads, Jordan Hayes and Max Toplin. They carry the film really, really well. You don't really know what to make of their characters, in a sense of they're both vulnerable, they're both weak. You're on both their sides at varying points in the film. Initially, I wasn't keen on the Cammy character. She seemed really entitled and a little bit rude initially. And I felt sorry for the Spencer character, and that kind of kept going back and forth and back and forth. And the film did a really, really good job at balancing that, the characters. And I actually quite appreciated the little twist it gave at the end, the little spin on its head that the film gave in regards to these two characters. I liked it. I'm not saying I didn't necessarily see it coming, but it was handled nicely, if you like. And obviously I'm not going to say what that is. I never like spoiling films. So this one was a really nice surprise for me. Very competently made, good direction. Turned the screw in regards to the scares and the tension. Really good psychological horror with paranoia and fear thrown in for good measure. I'm giving this one an 8 out of 10. I really, really liked it, and I enjoyed every minute of it. And it's definitely one I would suggest you guys check out if you get the opportunity. So that is my review for The Toll. Thanks for watching, everybody. If you like the video, click the like button. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. And of course, I will be back with more reviews and content on the channel very, very soon.